And welcome back to another episode of the Double Doink Podcast. My name is Brenden and Eric. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We're breaking down week 4. We're 3 weeks into the season. Week 4 is upon us. It's been an exciting start. This is a great slate of games. Underrated slate of games. We got a little bit of everything. Eric and I are going to give you a pick against the spread for every single one of them. We each have 3 locks we're going to give you as well. I'll introduce so Mr. Eric Warrens is with me. He's looking pretty fine today. I'm liking the light blue. How you doing?
Good. You know, I just said off air, it's a half day of work for me today. The hockey team I coach is in a tournament, so it's actually back-to-back half days, Thursday and Friday. So those are my favorite weeks, you know, just half days of work, go and coach hockey instead of work. So no complaining over here, but let's talk some football.
Where are you headed?
It's just Toronto, like Yorkdale area. It's actually a terrible area, but you know Chesswood.
Yeah, I've been there many times. They had the what's the Italian sandwich spot right there?
I know there's a California sandwich.
California sandwiches, yeah. That's the one. That was an old staple.
I wouldn't call that an Italian sandwich spot though. I don't know. Yeah. I guess
they had
is,
the veal sandwiches were money there. I remember back in the day.
Good. They're so good.
Okay, so Eric and I struggled against the spread last week. I went 6-9. You went 5-10, but 2-1 with our locks, both of us. So 4-2 on the locks. So focus on those. But again, we're going to give a pick against the spread for every single week. I have some stats I want to throw the listeners' way just because we have some more data on betting. So I just want to kind of throw away a couple interesting ones that I dug up. Warren's the NFL underdogs of 5.5 plus points are now 14-2 against the spread to start the season. The dogs have been barking. The public is really struggling, and I think I'm curious to I want to get information on every single YouTuber's pick segment because I don't think there's very many people that are in the green right now. It's been a hard season. I'm in the green. I'm 21 and I can't remember the exact 21-9 and plus 6, and so I am 27-16 against the spread. 27-18 actually against the spread. So hanging in there, but it's been tough. So the public, like I said, 17-10 against the spread according to DraftKings' stats. And just if you want to follow that, the highest public bet so far this through we're recording this on Thursday. Steelers -1.5, Rams +3, Vikings +2.5. So take that for what you will. All right, Warrensy, are you ready to dive into this?
Let's do it.
All right, let's start off hot. This one's fun. The Cincinnati Bengals heading on the road, 4.5-point favorites over the Carolina Panthers. So, Warrensy, the Bengals offense is 4th in EPA per play, 3rd in success rate to start the season. Top 5 offense. They are sitting at 0-3. Their season is on life support, and they got to go play the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, their former quarterback. Hollywood couldn't script this up better.
No, it couldn't. I am actually pretty excited for this game, and you bring up that Cincinnati's had a top 5 offense so far. That's great. Guess what? They have the 30th ranked EPA defense right now. So last week Joe Burrow and the offense didn't punt, didn't have a turnover, didn't matter. They lost the game, and I find this a tough handicap. If you look at the spread a few days ago, it was 6.5 for the Bengals. So if you're looking at the Panthers, I do feel like you kind of missed the opportunity and went through a key number there. I am still going to take the Panthers just because, like I mentioned, this Bengals defense, I think, is as bad as advertised. And I do think this Carolina offense finally has some life. I think this team has some life. It's at home. They might finally get a home field advantage for the first time in maybe a year and a half. So I think people are excited in Carolina again, and they should be for Andy Dalton. He's got this team just feeling different. And I do think the Bengals have flaws. I think the Bengals will win the game, but asking a team with a bottom 3 defense to cover a spread by 4 on the road, that's too much for me. So not a lock, but give me the Panthers +4.
The Red Rifle was slinging it last week. He was getting the ball very quick and efficient. 20 of his 27 passes were thrown in under 2.5 seconds, or he completed 20 of his 27 passes in under 2.5 seconds for 211 yards and a touchdown. Andy Dalton already has 10+ completions, 10+ yard completions than Bryce Young through one game. Bryce Young's 2. I know it's not crazy, but he was just clearly better, and he elevated that offense. Yeah, exactly. Like he was able to find his open receivers. Deontay Johnson had a career day. Very exciting times in Pantherland with Andy Dalton run the show. Jadeveon Clowney had a good week. He had 8 pressures. That was the most he's had since week 1 of 2022. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't love it. They're in desperation mode here. They got to get this game. Like if you drop 0-4,
desperation mode, Brenden?
It was. That was kind of my stick on it. I like the Bengals -7.5. Ended up locking in the Jamar Chase touchdown, which hit like 5 minutes in. So that ended up going well for me, going with that instead of the spread. But I think the Panthers are the better team, or the Bengals, are the better team. 4.5 isn't crazy. I do think they can win this one by a touchdown, but I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals -4.5.
Side note, I really like over 46.5 in this one too. I might like it more than the spread either way, because I said the Bengals defense is bottom 3 in EPA per play. Well, Carolina's is still 27th on the year. So Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both in the lineup again. Cincinnati could put up some points, and I think the Red Rifle does too. So over 46.5 would probably be my favorite bet of this game.
All right, the Denver Broncos head to the New York Jets. The Jets are 7.5-point home favorites here. Lots of points. Warns you, the Broncos defense is playing very well this year. They're getting good play from my boy Zach Allen, a guy that I really liked in free agency 2 years ago. He is coming into his own right now. He had 8 pressures last week. He had 7 pressures the week before, 15 total over the last 2 weeks. He's playing phenomenal ball, looking like one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. They just torched the Bucs offense. Baker Mayfield was under duress, sacked 7 times. What are you looking for in this one?
So at first, my first gut reaction was, hey, let's fade Bo Nix off his first career win. But I saw a lot of things I liked last week from this Denver team, not only on the offensive side of the ball. I'm starting to like this Denver defense. I think they are a sneaky unit. And then I did think about it. You got Aaron Rodgers, his good buddy Nathaniel Hackett. It's his revenge game.
Yeah.
But also something to factor, the New York Jets so far this season are playing at a snail's pace. They're in the bottom 5 of pace of offense. So they're averaging about 6 to 7 possessions per game. That's a very small amount. When you're being asked to cover a 7.5-point spread, that's 2 possessions, and the total is only 39.5. Vegas is basically saying the Jets got to get to about 24 points in maybe only 6 possessions. I think this Denver defense is a little bit sneaky, so I do think the Jets win the game outright, but I'm going to take the Broncos plus 7.5 just because I don't think the Jets are going to possess the ball enough. They're really trying to squeeze the clock, play that style of offense, and it's been working for them the last few weeks, but I don't know if it works for covering spreads as well as it could.
This is going to be my first lock of the week. I really like this one. I like Denver in the spot, plus 7.5. Like I brought up at the top, plus 5.5 and over underdogs are rolling this year. And you get that hook with the plus 7.5. Another underrated part of the Denver's defense is just Patrick Surtain is mopping away one side of the field now. Yep. If you look at what he's done, he's shadowed the opposing number 1 receiver on 77% of his coverage snaps. Last week, he followed Mike Evans on 24 of 34 routes, allowing only 1 catch for 8 yards. I love that. You can basically take away Garrett Wilson in this game with Pat Surtain. And the interior of the Broncos offensive line is playing very well. They're not letting Bo Nix, allowing him to get under pressure. They didn't allow a single pressure against the Bucs' interior last week. I think that's where the meat of the Jets pass rush is. So if they can kind of contain those guys and help Bo Nix out, I think they can keep this one within a touchdown easily. I really like this one. So my first lock is going to be Broncos plus 7.5.
Nice. I definitely side with you. Definitely.
All right, let's move on. The New Orleans Saints are on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 1.5-point favorites. Kind of an underrated rivalry in the NFL. I like a Saints-Falcons matchup. They always get little scraps. They don't like each other. This one is, I think it's going to be a very ugly game. I had a hard time handicapping this one. What do you make of this?
This is actually my first lock of the week, and I am going with Kirko Chains and the boys down in Atlanta. Now there is a hurricane coming through Atlanta, right? That's not gonna be? I know this
They're
is
in
an
a dome,
indoor
right?
game,
Yeah.
but I know baseball games got canceled all weekend down in Atlanta. Is there any worry about this game being moved or
I don't
anything?
believe so. Isn't it hitting Florida? Isn't it hitting the Florida area?
Yeah, but I think it might go north, so that's why they canceled all the baseball game. Because the baseball games in Atlanta, basically the Braves versus Mets. It's a playoff series that was supposed to be today and yesterday.
So you're thinking
But
like
they moved
travel.
it.
You're thinking of like affecting the travel.
I'm just
and whatnot.
worried that I'm going to lose home field advantage here because I know the spread's at 2.5, but if it goes to a neutral, it might become a pick'em, which I might actually like the pick'em at a neutral more than the Falcons at home minus 2.5. But I'm still going to lock in the Falcons, and the main reason is last week what the Eagles did, Vic Fangio had an amazing game plan. He put 5 down linemen quite often, and that
The old bear front.
completely eliminated the Saints' outside zone runs. And through 2 weeks, one of the biggest shocks was, wow, the Saints have a run game. Well, once Vic Fangio took that away, this Saints offensive line really, really, really was the weak spot was kind of shown. And center Eric McCoy is out. He's probably their best offensive lineman. He's out. Cesar Ruiz is also questionable. So an already very weak offensive line is now banged up. And I expect Raheem Morris, a very intelligent defensive mind, to basically just copy Vic Fangio's plan. It worked very well. I hope he copies it. And on the flip side of things, Saquon Barkley and that Eagles offensive line really ran the ball well. I think that Atlanta's offense is actually very similar, very good offensive line and a strong run game. So I hope that if the Falcons put over 400 plus yards of offense, it equates to more than 15, 16 points. Normally it does. So I'm on board with Kirk O'Chains and the boys. Give me the Falcons minus 2.5 wherever the game's played.
They should have won last week against the Chiefs. Like the pass interference call doesn't get called in the end zone. They could easily be sitting at 2-1. Of course, the refs helping the Chiefs out again. I haven't heard anything about the game being moved. The Falcons, they're in a dome, right? I think you might have already brought that up.
Yeah. It's actually not really going to affect Atlanta. I'm just looking it up now, and it's actually probably your game down in Tampa that's going to be
so I was going to bring that
heavily.
I was going to bring that up with the Eagles-Bucks part. The Bucks practice schedule is all over the place. They have to go indoors. But it's supposed to end by like Saturday morning, so it's not going to affect the actual game, but it might affect travel and where the teams are practicing and whatnot. So crazy storm coming through. Going to be eyeing that for, like you said, the baseball games and whatnot. But I don't think it'll affect any of the football games. Back to the actual on-field stuff, I do want to bring up the offensive line of the Falcons. Drew Dahlman is placed on IR. He's out for 4 weeks. Caleb McGarry doesn't look like he's going to play. He hasn't practiced the last 2 days. So both offensive lines are banged up. But I agree with you with the Falcons defense. I think they're playing sneaky good ball right now. Like the Chiefs weren't able to do too much on offense. They're kind of keeping everything in front of them. The Eagles didn't have a lot of explosive plays against them as well. They're kind of keeping everything tight. Raheem Morris is doing a good job. But you're on the Falcons. I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints here plus 1.5, but I don't love it. I just think these two teams are really evenly matched, and they just get 1.5 points there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The spread's moved to 2.5, Hurts me, but
I still got 1.5 here, but let's take 2.5. I'll take yours side because I like that better.
Let's take yours. 1.5.
Let's split in the middle of 2. All right,
How about that? Sounds good.
Okay. All right, let's move on to, I think, maybe game of the week here. Minnesota Vikings on the road to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 2.5 point road favorites. Jordan Love is 99%.
It's in Green Bay.
That's what I said. Road favorite or home favorites. I missed that. Yeah, sorry. Packers 2.5 point home favorites. Jordan Love has practiced. He practiced last week. He's practicing again. It looks like he's going to get the start. The sports books telling you the Packers are 2.5 point favorites are saying that he's going to get the start. I would be shocked if he's not. Love this game. Divisional rival. What you got?
Yeah, just from digging around on Twitter, the Packers beat writers were kind of insinuating it was about a 75 to 80% chance they think Jordan Love's going to play. Do with that what you will. I have gone against the Packers 2 weeks in a row and just have been bent over. It has not worked.
Malik
let's
Willis
go
isn't a
What
big
do
fan
you have
of
on
you,
this
eh?
game?
Malik
What do you
Willis
have on
isn't
this game? Malik Willis has just crushed me, and I'm not betting a Packers game this week. I agree with you. This is one of the best games of the week. As an NFC North guy, I really am looking forward to watching this closely, but I think it's also one of the toughest games to handicap this week.
So you got Aaron Jones returning to Green Bay. He's been very vocal. Did you see his Players Tribune yesterday? Great article.
No, I love Aaron
I
Jones,
really enjoyed
so.
enjoyed the read. I recommend checking that out. He really liked Green Bay. He had a great time there. He did a very good job. Usually sometimes player Tribune pieces are very corny, but this one was awesome. I really enjoyed that read. He's 5th in scrimmage yards in the NFL right now. He's balling in Minnesota.
Is that surprising? I don't get why that's surprising to anyone. As long as he's healthy, he produces.
He was so good down the stretch last year too in Green Bay. He was the best player on that offense when the Packers went on that run. I know there's going to be a lot of talk about the offenses, right? Sam Darnold. He's playing really well, leading the league in touchdown passes. Jordan Love coming back. But the defensive side of the ball interests me the most here. The Vikings defense has been insanely impressive, man. 2nd in sack rate. They're tied for 2nd in the league in EPA per play on defense. They just gave the Texans fits last week. They dominated Stroud and the boys. Now, Jordan Love has been successful against a Brian Flores defense. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 260 yards last year, and I think it was week 17. He plastered that Vikings defense. Now, this is a different unit. There's different players, and it's a different season, but Jordan Love has shown success against the Vikings defense. And on the other side of the ball, Sam Darnold is played well, don't get me wrong, but there's still a couple throws here and there that haven't been picked, that should have been picked. And the Packers already have 7 interceptions on defense right now. That's about half of what they had all of last season. So Jeff Hafley's putting his guys in a good spot to intercept the ball. I like the Packers minus 2.5. I was close on making this my lock. It was one that just didn't sneak in. I think the Packers are the better team. I think the Vikings come back down to earth a little in this one. Just give me Jordan Love over Sam Darnold all day, but that's what I got.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I am gonna lock in Green Bay for the sake of the show. I do really like what Jeff Hafley is doing with this defense. I think I want to see when these teams match up the second time. I want to see LaFleur get a look at Flores' defense before I'm confident enough to lock in a Packers pick. But it should be a great game. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope both teams lose.
One more quick thing. The Packers' run game has been phenomenal. They've generated 127 plus rushing yards over expected on design runs. That's by far the most of the NFL. So Matt LaFleur is just doing a really good job of scheming up his guys in the run game and getting kind of open lanes. So I think that could help them against this Vikings defense. All right, let's talk about the team that the Vikings destroyed and the team that just got absolutely manhandled on Monday Night Football. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the road to play the Houston Texans. The Texans are sitting at 6.5 point favorites. Both these teams are struggling on offensive side of the ball. Specifically, Jags, man, woof, what the hell was that? They are so discombobulated on the offensive side of the ball. Just some stats for you. They lead the league in yards and route depth, 10.3 yards, the average route depth on that team. That's a yard more than the next team. They're just trying to chuck it deep, and it's not working. Trevor Lawrence is a negative 5.6 completion percentage above expectation. That means that's 31st in the league, only behind Anthony Richardson. That means he's trying to make very difficult throws. He has the highest sack rate in the NFL. 11.5% of his dropbacks are resulting in a sack. The Jags need to get some easy buttons for Trevor Lawrence. What are you looking for in this game?
Yeah, so I think if I would have slid this into my 4th spot of my locks, it didn't make my top 3. And I think the reason was because of that public versus the public stats that you were saying at the top, because I do think Houston is a very public play this week. The number hasn't
They're the 4th highest public bet of the week so far.
Yeah, the number hasn't gotten over the key number of 7 yet. It slowly has been rising all week, but this has got to be a get-right spot for the Texans in my mind. Brian Flores really, really baffled them last week, and I think this is a great matchup for the Houston Texans. Right now, Ryan Nielsen and this Jags defense, he has them playing the highest man percentage.
53% of the reps have been man coverage. They don't have their number one corner.
I was just going to say,
it's baffling to me.
My note is do the Jaguars have a top 50 corner on their roster? Because for them to play man against Josh Allen the entire game and make no adjustments was just baffling to me. They don't have the horses to run his scheme. He hasn't made any adjustments yet. Maybe this is the game he adjusts, because I think if he plays man, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins are going to be running all day downfield wide open. The thing that kept me from locking this in my top 3 was actually CJ Stroud last year was a lot better versus zone than man. He actually kind of struggled versus man. But like I said, I don't think that the Jaguars have the horses to make this man coverage work this week. So I definitely lean Texans -6.5. I think it's a get right spot for their offense. I would slide into my 4 spot. Didn't make my top 3.
Maybe the most, arguably the most disappointing unit in the NFL so far has been the Texans offense. Do you know CJ Stroud?
I did see though.
Sorry, go.
The last 2 weeks, they playing the Vikings and Bears defenses. Those are both so far top 10 units, and they're getting a real nice bottom 10 unit in Jacksonville here.
I get that. I get that the 2 defenses they played are good, but the Texans offense is supposed to be really good. You're supposed to be above any defense that you're playing. Warrensy, CJ Stroud is 30th in EP per play on early down passing right now. The Texans offense is 27th in drop back success rate. Teams ahead of them are the Bears, Broncos, Giants, and Titans. This is a team that has Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, Stephon Diggs. What is? I was baffled at the numbers when I was looking it up. Bobby Slowick, in my opinion, might be on fraud watch a little bit here. They continued to run the ball on early downs last week when it was not working. They just kept running into second and longs, third and longs.
Something I think we missed actually last week was the fact that Brian Flores the week prior played the 49ers. So he played Shanahan, and then he played the apprentice the following week, Bobby Slowick. We maybe should have seen that coming, that Flores was going to have a great game plan, basically seeing the same offense twice in a row. There are definitely concerning numbers about this offense, but what's a better get-right spot than a Jags team that, let's face it, they might be 1/2 away from giving up.
They might have already given up.
Yeah, true.
I think they gave up 2 possessions in last week. That game was literally over 5 minutes into the game. The Jags defense also has some getting after the passer. Josh Allen right now is a 10.3% pressure rate. He only has pressures on 6 of his 57 pass rush snaps. He's on a milk carton right now. So he just got paid and he looks like he's checked out. This is one of my least favorite picks of the week. I'm gonna take the Jags +6.5 just because so many underdogs are that high are covering right now. Divisional game. Dougie P, give me something here, buddy. Give me something. Your team, like I said, is on life support. Cover 6.5 for me against the Houston Texans. I absolutely hate this game. I'll watch. I'm definitely gonna be having eyes on it, but I hate the bets on it. So give me the Jags +6.5. Let's keep that +5.5 and underdog streak rolling. Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts. They are 1.5 point road favorites. Warrensy, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-0. They have the number 1 EPA per play defense and the 28th ranked offensive success rate offense. They are playing old school football. This is like the 2005 Bears stats right here. What are you looking for in A. Rich versus Justin Fields?
This is my second lock of the week, and I feel actually really good about the Pittsburgh Steelers moving to 4-0 personally. This is as much a fade of the Indianapolis Colts as it is a buy on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was very unimpressed with this Colts team last week, watching them closely versus the Bears. Now, Anthony Richardson does have the potential to go off at any moment and play well, but you said it, you kind of slightly chirped him when you were talking about Trevor Lawrence's completion percentage over expectation. Anthony Richardson is dead last. He is
Can I throw some Anthony Richardson
throws.
Can I throw some Anthony Richardson stats your way?
Yeah.
Dead last in EPA per play plus completion percentage above expectation. Dead last in completion percentage. Warrens, he's first in air yards per attempt at 12.6. That's not good. You don't want your quarterback going deep that all the time. Sorry. Trevor Lawrence is next highest at 9.9. He's throwing the ball 3 yards longer than basically every other quarterback. They can't get. We talked about easy buttons with the Jaguars. this is like emphasize easy buttons. They cannot. Everything looks so difficult with that Colts offense.
Looks so difficult, and I truly do believe that the Steelers' number 1 ranked defense right now is not a fluke. I do really like this unit. This is going to be Richardson's toughest test of his career. I'm still treating Anthony Richardson like a rookie, and this is going to be the toughest matchup of his professional career. So I like Mike Tomlin to throw a curveball at him. I do think the Steelers' defense has holes in the secondary. I think a good pass-protecting offensive line that gives their quarterback time could have success versus this Pittsburgh secondary, but I don't think Anthony Richardson has the arm talent to do so. And on the other side of things, Justin Fields is coming off arguably his best game as a professional. He looked great last week. He's just making this simple play, not beating himself, and looks like he's bought in, and I'm very happy for the guy. I think this spread should be more than a field goal personally. So as long as it's under 3, I'm taking the Steelers minus 1.5 as one of my locks this week.
Yeah, Justin Fields is playing like different football than he usually does. He's getting the ball out quick. Last season, his average time to throw average time for him to release the ball was 3.06 seconds, 2.64 so far. Like that's a top 10. So like he's taking what the offense is giving him, he's throwing it accurately on time. I know, like I said, the Steelers' offensive success rate is 28th, but he's not turning the ball over very much. He's doing a pretty good job. Hats off to him. I also like the Steelers minus 1.5. I think they're the better team. I think only 1.5 points. They should be able to cover this by a field goal. And like you said, I think it's more of a fade of Anthony Richardson and the Colts more than just loving the Steelers. But hey, if they'll move to 4-0, like this is hilarious that the Steelers are just rolling like this in a division that no one expected them to win, and they're the only team that has more than 2 wins in that division. All right, let's move on to the Los Angeles Rams on the road against your Chicago Bears. Warrensy, the Bears are favorites by 2.5. Do you want to just get out some anger on your Bears right now? I know you've been kind of dying to let the listeners know about how disappointed you are.
It's so frustrating. Like, did you see any of the clips going around Twitter this week of some of the play calling down, specifically in the goal line?
That, like, what was it? That speed option on 4th down?
4th and goal
they
from
lost
the
12
half-yard
yards.
line.
You lose 12 yards at 4th and goal? That's, like, very hard to do.
It's insanely hard to do, and it kind of defeats the purpose of going for it on 4th and goal from the half-yard line. You're supposed to, if you don't get it, hey, at least you know what the other team's pinned. Nightmare play, but how about the play that was before that on 3rd down? They had DeAndre Carter, who's a speed slot receiver, trying to block Kwity Paye on the edge on a handoff to Khalil Herbert. Guess what happened? It didn't go well. And like, there's just multiple things on this offense that are just still not functioning how you'd hope they would. The offensive line is really, really struggling. But I think this is a get-right spot for the Bears, personally. If this wasn't the Bears, and because I never really bet on the Bears, I probably would have had this as a lock. I think this is a great spot for Chicago to get back right. Keenan Allen should be back this week. He is practicing as of today. And this Rams team, hats off for getting a win last week. Respects. But they got as lucky as I've ever seen any team. The winning percentage, the 49ers win percentage in that game was 97.5 at one point. Everything went right the last 6 minutes of that ball game for the Rams. I think McVay kind of stole his win. Now he's going on the road. With a wounded squad. This is also the Rams' first game outdoors. I expect desperation from the Bears. So I like the Bears here, but it would probably be in that 5 spot if we were doing up to 5 locks.
Yeah, Jake Moody missing that field goal. Like, he hits that, the Rams probably don't win. They get the punt return, pass interference. Great win. Like, you win the IR Bowl. It was a fun game. But I also do like the Bears minus 2.5. It's not going to be one of my locks, but I do think, like you said, it's a get-right spot. Something that really caught my eye is the Rams have allowed the most yards, completions, and touchdowns on throws of 20-plus yards. Caleb Williams showed life last week and getting the ball deep. It sounds like they're trying to emphasize on pushing the ball deep down the field. And what will help that? Keenan Allen underneath, getting more attention. Maybe you can get a shot up top. So I do think Caleb Williams kind of showed that he can play better than he did. The one thing that is a little worrying is the Rams, like rookie pass rushers, are playing really good ball. Braden Fisk and Jared Verse are 1-2 in rookie pressures on the defense. So those draft picks are looking okay right now. Jared Verse is playing really good ball. So the Bears have to kind of worry about that. But I think they'll be able to cover 2.5. I think they win here.
Yeah. His props aren't posted yet, but I really like Roschon Johnson's yards in this game. I'm hoping for like a 20 to 25 yard type number. It was pretty clear in the presser that the offensive coaching staff has finally realized, wait, DeAndre Swift sucks. Let's give the ball to somebody else. And Roschon Johnson had juice early in that game last week, and they just stopped giving him the ball. DeAndre Swift is clearly the third best running back on this roster. I really hope this week that touches go Johnson and Herbert 1-2, and then Swift 3.
37 carries for 68 yards for DeAndre Swift.
Do you know how hard that is to do?
He has one rushing first down on 37 attempts.
Do you know how hard that is to do, man?
There was some film on him against the Colts was atrocious. Like he can't find the holes. I know the offensive line hasn't been great. Don't get me wrong. He's not getting a ton of help, but he's been bad. And really the Colts run defense is terrible too. Like they got destroyed the week before, and the fact that they couldn't get anything going was awful.
Yeah, well, there's another bad run defense. So he's got one more. This Bears O-line is kind of the unit that's been called out the most this week. So I do like the Bears here. Get back to 2-2.
As do I. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles, 1.5 point road favorites on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like we brought up, the hurricane is affecting the Bucs practice schedule. They're kind of all over the place right now, but should be okay by game time. Eagles, crazy win last week. That game took freaking 4 years off my life. Jalen Carter absolutely wrecked that game. Maybe the best film I've seen from a defensive tackle. Like he looked like Aaron freaking Donald last week. Like there were like 15 plays where he affected it. The Saints couldn't do anything on offense because of Jalen Carter. They were terrified of any deep drops. If he can play like that, the Eagles are in good hands on the defensive side of the ball. Vic Fangio had a great game plan of getting them ready with the bear fronts that we were talking about earlier. Both teams are severely banged up. The Eagles are going to be without Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown. Like 99%, Devonta Smith is probably not going to play as well. If you're going to talk about like 3 players that the Eagles need outside of Jalen Hurts in most games, it's those 3 guys. So those are big losses. But Saquon Barkley's doing really good on the ground. This is an interesting matchup because this is like almost an Eagles revenge game and Jalen Hurts revenge game as well. The Bucs have been their boogeyman. Todd Bowles has given Jalen Hurts fits in his career. He's eliminated from the playoffs twice. Let's get an outsider's non-Eagles fan view of this one. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, this one, I think this is a really, really tough handicap today on Wednesday because you mentioned the big 3 names for the Eagles, Johnson, Smith, and Brown. Eagles have a bye next week. I mean, it's really easy for me to sit here and say, rest them, get the bye. I know for the coaching staff, every win is so important. But with the bye next week, don't you think it kind of makes sense to maybe, hey, let's take a week here, guys?
Yeah, I hated the week 5 bye when the schedule came out, but it's desperately needed right now for this team. So I think it's kind of working out for them.
Right. So without knowing how many of those 3 guys or if any are going, I lean Bucks, but there's a huge injury, quite literally a huge injury on the Tampa Bay side of things, and that would be Vita Vea, the one-man run stopper. Because like you mentioned, Saquon Barkley is running wild so far this year. That home run, or that signing has been a home run. That's been a grand slam. Let's call it what it is. He's been unbelievable. Todd Bowles in his career has he's been able to shut down the run when he wants. That's one of his best traits. Vita Vea is a big reason for that. So I need to see if Vea is playing. And in the backfield for Tampa, Antoine Winfield is questionable. If he goes, that's also a huge get for Tampa. But there's just too many injuries.
He's not going to play.
He's going to be out?
Yeah, he's going to be out.
Okay. But they have multiple other injuries in that secondary.
They have 16 players on the injury report.
Yeah,
the Bucs.
yeah.
It's a laundry list.
Yeah. But Vea is the big one for me. I hate doing this, but if Vea plays, I think I'm on the Bucs. If Vea doesn't, I think I'm taking the Eagles. I do think he's that important to stopping the run. Mm-hmm. And if Brown and Smith are out, Philly's really going to try running the ball. Bulls should be able to take away Hurts' legs. He's done that in every matchup they've played. I believe this is going to be, is this their third or their fourth matchup?
Think third. There would be
Yeah,
two
so in the
playoff
first
games.
two, he's done a good job of taking away Hurts' legs. So I don't know if Hurts will be able to contribute to that ground game, but I hate doing this. But if Vea plays, I'm on the Bucks. If Vea doesn't, I'm on the Eagles.
So Todd Bowles has blitzed Jalen Hurts on 51% of his dropbacks in his career in those two games. Hurts has historically struggled against a blitz. Jalen Hurts right now, 7th in QBR against a blitz, 8th in completion percentage. He's turning a corner here against a blitz. It looks like Kellen Moore has really helped him out this offseason, kind of controlling that part of his game. Jalen Hurts is 5th in passing yards so far. I know the turnovers have been rough. Last week's the one against Devonta Smith, I don't think was really his fault when you watch it on film. Devonta Smith needs to cross over Tyrann Mathieu. It was a kind of a timing throw that was one of the worst routes I've seen Devonta Smith run. The fumble was 100% on him. You cannot do that. So he has to control his turnovers. If he does, we could see some top 5, top 7 level quarterback play from him because he is playing well. Just the turnovers have been a problem. I'm on the Eagles -1.5. I don't love it. Like I said, the injuries are really tough right now. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they end up going to the bye 2-2. Couple reasons why I do think the Eagles can win this one. Jalen Carter, like I said, looked amazing last week. Their right guard on the Bucks, Cody Mock, has allowed 14 pressures through 3 weeks. That's the most out of any guard in the NFL so far. If he can get one-on-one matchups there, he can wreck that game. And I do think Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert are good enough on the offense. They totaled 324 combined yards last week. They were phenomenal. They took over that game. So I do think Jalen Hurts has enough weapons, even without the top guys. The Bucks got plastered last week in the trenches, so I do think the Eagles have an advantage there as well. But again, I don't love it. All right, anything else on this game before we go to break?
No, sir.
All right, on the other side, Eric and I will break down the 4 o'clock games and the night games. The Double Doink Podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life is hard. It's especially hard when you don't have someone you can open up to. Not everyone is comfortable talking to their friends and family about their personal matters or anything that is bothering them on a day-to-day basis. Mental health is so important to continued success in this world. Therapy is a great way to regroup and get everything off your chest. Insert BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the largest online therapy service, 100% online. They will match you with professional licensed therapists you can trust. You can talk with your therapist however you see fit, via text, phone call, or video chat. BetterHelp has successfully helped over 4 million people worldwide deal with their day-to-day mental health issues. Use the link in the podcast description to get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp. And we're back on the Double Doink Podcast, previewing week 4. It's the 4 o'clock slate. It's the night slate. Let's get to it. The Patriots on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers 10.5 point favorites, the largest spread of the week. The largest spread of every week so far has lost outright, Warren Z. Outright.
Yeah. I think that changes this week.
I don't know if the Patriots are going on the road to beat the 49ers, but a funny stat so far. The 49ers, we talked about, blew it last week. Jake Moody missed the field goal. They had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. However, I think there's some bright spots with the 49ers. Like, I know a lot of people might be panicking in San Francisco land, but Brock Purdy's playing really damn well. I thought he was really phenomenal last week. Jawan Jennings was like game of his life, sitting on my bench in fantasy. I still crushed it, but damn, that would have been nice to have him for the kind of the point totals. Doesn't look like we'll get Deebo Samuel in this game. George Kittle is limited in practice, so will probably be like a game time decision, questionable kind of thing. So they might get him back, but what are you looking for in this one?
So this was another one that I was close to locking in, but once it rose over the 10 and we got to the 10.5, it kind of scared me off a bit, but I think it was a get right spot for the 49ers. And on the flip side, the Patriots, maybe for that Thursday night game, probably should have known, hey, that's Gerard Mayo's first time coaching on a Thursday night, but this is his first time with extra time to prepare, so let's see how he does with that. But he's going up against Kyle Shanahan. I don't think that's a fair matchup for Gerard Mayo just because of his personnel. This Patriots O-line last week we saw versus the Jets, that's the O-line we expected this year.
15 quarterback hits allowed. Like, you just did the Brissett is like just getting thrown to the wolves out there.
Yeah, put Drake May in bubble wrap and do not let him see the field in this game. I think it's get right for the 49ers. I wish it was under the 10 mark, but I think I missed the opportunity to bet 49ers, but I still do think they get right and blow out the Pats here.
Taking the Patriots 10.5 because the large spreads have been covering. I absolutely hate it, though. This is like top 3 worst games for me to handicap. I think the Patriots O-line needs to play better. Can they play better against a team without Javon Hargrave now? He's out for the season, so you get a little bit of help there. But I don't love it. We'll see what happens. Probably the worst game of the week. All right, Commanders on the road to take on the Arizona Cardinals, the red-hot Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, my man, welcome to the freaking NFL. He was absolutely insane in that Bengals game. Just kind of like a I'm here moment. Like he did I'm for real kind of game. The Commanders offense hasn't punted the football since week 1. This offense is the hottest offense in the NFL. Second in EPA per play, second in success rate. Imagine someone told you that the Commanders offense would be top 2 through 3 weeks. You probably would have smacked them in the face twice. What do you make of the Arizona Cardinals 3.5 point favorites over the Commanders?
My question to you is, what's more sustainable, the number 2 ranked offense for Washington or the second worst success rate defense in Washington?
Warnsey, the defense is dead last in EPA per play, 0.305 EPA per play allowed. The Rams are at 31st at 0.22. Like, this defense is very bad. They would be on historic runs like they were last year. They were historically bad defense last season, and nothing's changed. The Bengals also didn't punt the ball last week.
So that's why I have Cardinals here, is because I do think the more sustainable thing we've seen with Washington is this defense, and I think it's going to be this bad all year. I think Washington is going to punt at some point. I don't think their offense is going to be that sustainable. But the thing is, the dead last success rate defense is Arizona.
Yeah.
So I did look at this over. It's 49.5. That's a large number, especially because I do think both these teams are going to run the ball quite a bit and have success doing it. So I don't know if there's going to be enough possessions to get to 50 points. I'm enjoying watching Jaden Daniels. I mean, I have not bought into any of the Twitter talk of should the Bears have taken Jaden Daniels. I think it's way too early for that type of total.
So stupid.
Way too early for that. But hey, Jaden Daniels looks amazing. Let's say we got to give him his flowers. He does look amazing. I'm really excited for this game. But I think Kyler Murray has an amazing matchup versus this Washington defense. They've really struggled with mobile quarterbacks, and their secondary can't cover squat. The thing that kept me from locking in Arizona is Trey McBride is in concussion protocol right now. We don't know if he's going to go. He has been amazing this year. He's been
the number one guy.
Really emerged as a great target in that intermediate spot for Kyler Murray. So I think Arizona wins. I just don't know if they cover, so I'm not locking it in, but I am on Arizona minus 3.5.
See my second lock. I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals minus 3.5. I think they're just a superior team. I think the Commanders' offense comes back down to earth a little bit here. And we brought up the defense. The Commanders are averaging 0.499 EP per play in dropback scenarios. That is horrendous. You're adding a half point every time you throw the football against this team. I think the Arizona Cardinals passing offense has done very well so far this year. Bad second half against the Lions, but they've been awesome. They destroyed the Rams, which was the 31st ranked defense. So if you can kind of replicate that. Kyler was just 1 of 7 on deep shots last week. That changes this week. Like, he'll be able to push the ball deep. I think it'll be a big Marvin Harrison Jr. game. The Cardinals' offensive line is actually sneaky, a top 5 unit right now as well. Evan Brown is turning into one of the best guards in the league. He's allowed the 6th lowest pressure rate, 4th fewest pressures in the league so far. Their interior of the line is doing really well. That's kind of where the Commanders' juice of their defense is. So I think they'll be able to hold them down. I think 3.5 is just. I think they win by a touchdown, so I think you can get that. I think you'd be comfortable with that 3.5. So second lock of the week, Arizona Cardinals minus 3.5.
Nice.
All right. This one's a fun one, like easily game of the week. The Cleveland Browns on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are 1.5 point favorites. Let's talk about this Browns offense quick. Dead last in EPA per play, dead last in success rate, dead last in dropback success rate. Watson is 31st in EPA per play, only behind Bryce Young. Does that sum it up? Do I need any more stats? How bad the Browns offense is, or does that do the job?
And the big loss is going to be Wyatt Teller. This team couldn't run the ball to begin with, and now you're losing a top guard in Wyatt Teller. It doesn't look like Jack Conklin or Jedrick Wills will be ready either. So they're down 3 well above average offensive line.
And you got to go see Max Crosby now. And you got to go see Max.
And they're seeing a defense that Antonio Pierce called out publicly. He said guys were taking business decisions. Antonio Pierce's kind of motto of the whole off season was, we're going to be tougher than you. We're going to beat you in the trenches. So he called out his whole entire team, and I think they're going to respond. So I have the Raiders here. It is more of a fade of Deshaun Watson and this Cleveland team, because I look at when Antonio Pierce calls out the Raiders, I think that his team bounces back. I don't think Cleveland believes in Deshaun Watson. I don't think there is a bounce back in this team. And Kevin Stefanski's offense really needs to establish the run in order for him to open up his play action part of his playbook. And the Browns can't run the ball for squat right now. A lot of it is to do with the offensive line. So I'm on the Raiders, but definitely don't like backing Gardner Minshew enough to make it a lock.
Yeah, they hinted at potentially a quarterback change this week, but they ended up sticking with Minshew. I like the Raiders -1.5 as well. I think they're a better team right now, straight up. Like, to say that the Vegas Raiders are better than the Cleveland Browns through 3 weeks, I don't think a lot of people would have thought that, but I believe that to be true. The Browns have 16 players on the injury report right now, and you brought up like the offensive line is severely banged up. I think the Raiders get it done in this game. All right, Kansas City Chiefs 7.5-point road favorites heading to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. Derwin James suspended for 1 game. Jim Harbaugh was not happy about that in his press conference. I wrote about that at the Score. The NFL they appealed and it was denied. The NFL sent a memo at the beginning. There was a report from Adam Schefter. They sent a memo to 20 different players about safety violations, and Derwin James was on that list because he's second in the NFL in unnecessary roughness penalties since 2018. That's a big loss. The Chargers defense is playing well. They're second in success rate through 3 weeks, but without Derwin James, Justin Herbert is banged up as well. It sounds like he's going to go from all what he's talking about at press conferences and practice reports, but he's hampered. I think the only chance the Chargers have in this game is to run the football. The Chiefs are still 29th in rush success rate on defense. This is dating back to last year. It's been a problem with them. They haven't really had a very good a good chance of stopping the run in basically every single game. But I'll pass the ball to you. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, this is actually my third lock of the week, and I'm taking Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs -7.5. Last week they were able to run the ball pretty well without Pacheco. That's something I did not expect. I think that if they can move the ball on the ground still, there's green light for Patrick Mahomes and his receivers. The Chargers are going to be down Joe Alt for sure. Rashawn Slater is also, he left the game last week and he hasn't practiced yet. So they're potentially down 2 elite tackles versus a Kansas City defensive front. I think Steve Spagnuolo is going to really try to take away the run. And Justin Herbert is also really banged up. He left the game last week, hasn't practiced yet. If he plays injured, I'll be surprised. I think there's a chance that we see Easton Stick in this game because the Chargers also have a bye next week. Do you really want to run Herbert out there as a sitting duck with no tackles against a good Kansas City pass rush? I don't. And I truly still think that this Chargers defense being second in success rate is a fluke. Patrick Mahomes is by miles the best quarterback they've played this year. They've really, really played poor quarterbacks so far this year. That's why the Chargers defense is ranked second in success rate. I think that comes crashing down this week. And I know it's a big spread. The big spreads have not been covering this year, but I think it changes this week. Give me the Chiefs -7.5. It's my third lock.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation about the Chiefs offense right now. Like Patrick Mahomes isn't pushing the ball deep down the field. They're still 10th in EPA per play. They're still 4th in success rate, so they're still able to move the ball pretty well. And he said the Chargers are severely banged up. Joey Bosa is probably not going to play in this game as well. Like, they have a laundry list of injuries. I'm going to take the Chargers +7.5, but I don't love it. I see your point. Like Patrick Mahomes against a banged up defense and just a banged up team in general. Chargers don't have home field advantage either in any game. Like, I don't know. Did you see the 49ers Rams game? Like, LA football fans are just not showing up. There was 90% 49ers fans in the stadium.
Yeah. And also, I do think Andy Reid is going to want to make a statement to Harbaugh in the division. Say, hey, buddy, I know you're making noise and things are looking good over there, but AFC West is mine, and I think Andy Reid is not going to slow down.
All right, just a phenomenal game. The Buffalo Bills on the road against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Ravens are 2.5-point favorites right now. I think it's safe to say, and I don't think you can push back on this one. The Buffalo Bills are the best team in the NFL right now. They look the best team. Warnsy,
Josh Allen's the MVP, no doubt.
For sure. Warnsy, 0.58 dropback EPA is insanity the Bills are running right now. To put that in perspective, the 49ers led it with 0.298 last season. They were almost doubling one of the best offenses in the NFL in efficiency rate through the air. It's probably not sustainable. Like, you're not going to see that over a 17-week span. But their passing offense is just cooking. Khalil Shakir, shout out to him. 53 of his last 59 targets have been caught. He has been just a rock for this Bills offense. The Baltimore Ravens ran all over the Dallas Cowboys last week. Kind of Goliath versus Goliath colliding here kind of matchup. What do you like, and what do you think is the key to success for both teams?
I think this is the toughest game of the week to handicap for me. I have the Bills because I have way more favorites this week. I was looking for a dog to mix in there, and this was a really tough spread. So I'm on the Bills plus 2.5, but I'm really more looking forward to getting this data point for this Bills offense for this Bills defense, because so far they've been feasting on some really bad offensive lines. Last 2 weeks they've played Jacksonville and Miami's offensive lines, and their front seven has just dominated. Last week, Harbaugh called out his offensive line, said they needed to be better, and damn, were they a lot better versus the Cowboys. If Baltimore can establish the run, I think there's a real path to success for the Ravens offense. But on the same side of things, I'm not betting against the MVP right now, and Josh Allen. I think he can move the ball as well. So I actually like the over more than anything in this game. But for the sake of the show, I'm gonna get a dog on my card here and take the Bills plus 2.5.
This is gonna be my third lock of the week of the show. Are we ever gonna get the Buffalo Bills as underdogs ever again?
No,
probably not. Do it now. Take it now. Plus 2.5. I think they could lose this one, but I think it could be less than 2.5. But I think they're the better football team. They're the best team in the league right now. Take them as an underdog. Don't overthink this one. I know it's a road game as well, but Josh Allen just playing so damn well. The Ravens offensive line has been an issue. Like, I know they played better last week, but they played better because they were able to run the football. The Bills' run defense has been so good so far this season, just defense in general. Sean McDermott has his team playing really well. I really do think they're going to be able to slow down Lamar and Derrick Henry in that rushing attack. And the Bills' offensive line has been so good. I don't think the Ravens are going to be able to get pressure. The Bills' offensive line right now allowing the third lowest pressure rate in the league. Give me the Buffalo Bills as underdogs. Like I said, you're never going to see this again probably for the rest of the season, so do it now.
I like it.
Fun one. Great game. Tennessee Titans on the road to play the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are 1.5.
Talk about this game.
I saw a meme. It was like you remember the movie Invincible when they do the open tryouts in that movie. Yeah. Do this for the Dolphins quarterback right now. If you could throw a spiral, head down to Miami, because who's playing quarterback for this team? It's Thursday. We still don't have any idea.
Normally when we don't know who the quarterback is, I kind of say, hey, do we really need to handicap this game? It's hard, but what's the difference between Skylar Thompson and whoever they trot out there? You're going to get bottom of the barrel quarterback play here. Tennessee, on the other hand, it's going to be Levis, but should it be Levis? I mean, I kind of want to see Mason Rudolph. I know that sounds crazy, but he can't be worse than what Levis has done so far. Levis is costing them ball games.
I actually thought Levis played okay last week. Like, I know he did. I thought he made some high level throws. He needs to really just cut down on the turnovers and nonsense. We've been saying that the last 2 weeks, though, and he still hasn't happened. But I think they give him a little bit longer leash. But you're right. Like, it is trending towards where if he cannot stop turning the ball over, where they're going to have to roll with Rudolph at some point. Their season's slipping away. They're 0-3 here.
Yeah. So I am going to take Tennessee in this spot. It's more just a fade of whoever's quarterbacking the Dolphins. And I still like this Tennessee defense. So give me the Titans, but I'm going to be watching the other Monday night game. Put it that way.
A wild stat here. Nicholas Petit-Frere, the Titans guard, is on pace to the highest pressure rate of any guard in NFL history, according to Next Gen Stats. So the Dolphins can get some sort of pass rush there. The Tennessee Titans offensive line in general has allowed the highest pressure rate of any offensive line this season. I'm going to take the Titans, though. I do think that Tim Boyle, come on, he's got to be he's got to be the worst employed quarterback in the NFL right now. A guy that's getting paid to play football as a quarterback, the worst one I think is Tim Boyle. So I'm going to take the Titans plus 1.5 here. All right, the other Monday night game's got some juice. The Seattle Seahawks are on the road to play the Detroit Lions. They're 3.5-point underdogs. This Seahawks defense has been one of the cooler units in the NFL so far. First in defensive success rate and second in EPA per play. So Seahawks defense has been fun so far. What do you make of this game?
Yeah, this is a really cool matchup between Mike McDonald and Ben Johnson. I'm really looking forward to those two young minds going head to head here. Should be a great game. I'm on the Lions. I've backed them all year so far, and I'm gonna go back to the well. I think if the Detroit Lions can establish their run game, I do think we're gonna finally see some holes in this Seattle defense. So give me the Lions, but with the spread being over 3 currently, I couldn't make it a lock, but I do think the Lions are the right side here.
Yeah, like you said, fun game. The Seahawks have won 6 of their last 6 games against the Detroit Lions. They've had their number. The last time the Lions beat the Seahawks was in 2012. I'm going to take the Seahawks here. I think they can cover that 3.5. I think they keep this one close. The Lions are playing the second highest rate of man coverage in the NFL so far this season. Geno Smith has absolutely cooked man coverage. 74% completion percentage, third in QBR against man so far. Warrensy, Geno might be playing his best football of his career right now. He's making some high-level throws.
I don't think it's a might. I think he is.
He's been awesome so far this season. Ryan Grubb has unlocked him. Shane Waldron leaving has looked pretty good so far for the Seattle Seahawks.
Has.
So I like the Hawks a lot in this game. That was going to be one of my locks, but just missed it. All right, anything left that you want to get off your chest before we kick rocks?
Nope. I'm damn excited for football this year. I'm off to one of my worst starts handicapping of my life. The first 3 weeks have not gone well, but this is week I turn it around.
It's revenge season for Warrensy and Deeg. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That'd be greatly appreciated. Make sure to check out Eagles content if you're looking for a Thomas Peterson and I will break down the Bucs game, and we will talk to you later.